Okay. Hello everybody and welcome to our latest Founders for School career webinar. Founders for School Digital are events where we feature Masters of Business to tell us about their career stories and then invite the audience, which is comprised of students who are beaming up from across the country, to ask questions. Today we're joined by Bob Dunn, who will share his career journey. So welcome, Bob.
Thank you.
Okay. My name is Alison Round-McEwen. I am an engagement manager for Founders for School and I'll be hosting today's session. And Founders for School is a charity where we connect young people to inspiring business leaders so that the young people can help understand the world of work a little bit better. We hope by sharing some insights, career guidance, lessons and tips that you'll be motivated and inspired to make informed decisions about your future. A little bit of housekeeping first to the audience. Your audio, video and chat function have been disabled for safeguarding purposes. You can, however, ask questions and we do encourage it, but you can anonymise yourself when you're asking the questions. There's just a little tick box when you go to the Q&A functionality. We're recording the session and it will be featured on our platform and YouTube channel after the event. If you'd like to watch it, then please do so. But in the meanwhile, sit back and enjoy the webinar and make as many notes as you'd like. So Bob, first of all, let me thank you for giving us your time today.
Okay.
It would be great if you could start a little bit about just telling us what your current job is and then what that means. And then before we go on to find out more about your career journey and how you got to where you are today.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Yes, my name is Bob Dunn. My positions today include one or two different ones. The main one is I'm Managing Director of two main bus companies, one in Manchester called Diamond Bus and one in Preston called Preston Bus. So I take care of those two businesses, but we are part of a bigger business which I run with my son. So altogether we employ about 2,000 people. and operate urban and inter-urban and rural bus services. So a little bit about me. I spent, in 12 weeks time, I've spent 50 years doing the job I do, 50, not 05, that's a long, long time. During that time, I've spent 44 years in management and I've spent 36 years building and operating my own companies, some of which I've sold in the past. So come from quite humble beginnings. My dad was a coal miner and I grew up digging coal, would you believe? And I went to school, underachiever, couldn't really do anything worthwhile, got bullied and pushed around. And I think this really sown the seeds for me to give me the inspiration to leave school at 16 and all my friends were staying on till 18 at that time. And I bucked the trend and I thought I'll get a job what I enjoy. So I went to work for a bus company. I started fixing buses as a young boy. I went to night school for 7 years, doing technical studies, getting many qualifications, and eventually doing some management training. And I was fortunate enough to work for a nationalised bus company, then the National Bus Company. And I got a job as a manager when I was barely 22 years of age. So, and really, I've just pushed and pushed myself all the way down the line. So from the age of 16 to 30, I worked for other people. I worked for national business, like I say. I worked for a family business and I worked for an international company in Kenya, East Africa. And I couldn't find what I wanted and I couldn't work with the sort of people I wanted to work with. So basically, I thought I'll put everything on the line, I'll start my own business. And that's what I did. I started with nothing in 1984, which is 36 years ago now. And with the help of my wife and some family, we built a business that was really the largest of its kind between 1984 and 2006. Eventually and that wasn't all good things. In 2001, we had foot and mouth, and then we had 9/11, two big environmental shocks. I suppose I draw likenesses today with COVID-19. Obviously, COVID's more serious, but at that time, 2001, that really, really hit me hard. And almost finished my business, but I kept fighting, working hard, looking for different ways of running the business, and I restructured the business to be a different kind of business, to be a bus company rather than a coach company that relied on tourists coming into London and so on. So that was a very big learning experience. Over the journey from 1984 to 2006, I started an IT company which supported the business. I started a taxi business which supported the business also. And eventually in 2006, a French company called Veolia bought that business from me. And it was time to move on. So what I did, I went into the current business where I am now. One of my sons lives in Australia. He went off, he manufactures buses and coaches in Australia, probably the biggest or second biggest there. My second eldest son I work with today, and we built this business today to operate in Heathrow, Birmingham, like I say, Manchester, Preston. So I take care of the north part of the business. Many people rely on us for employment. They rely on us to do the right things, treat people correctly. And hopefully that's what we try and do, you know, all the time. It's not always possible to please everyone, but we try our best. In terms of my career, what do I enjoy most? I enjoy working with people. I enjoy feeling like I make a difference. I feel like and build things that's sustainable and last for a long time. But that's the important thing to me. It's about pride, and it's about building teams of people, helping people develop. And then I've always believed in the long run, you help other people, they help you. And that leads to whatever kind of success that you're looking for. The sort of skills I've had to develop over the years, a lot of them have been through experience. I said I learned engineering skills in the early years, some basic management skills. But, you know, when you're working in a business that involves people, and most businesses do, then you need to be empathetic, and you need to understand the rights and wrongs of how to treat people the way you want to be treated. So human resource management is a key aspect of our business. So it's about motivating people and controlling, obviously, at times. And it's about getting people and looking after the greater good, I always say. So looking after the good people. Educationally, I went back to university when I was 47 years of age, which is a long time ago. And I did a BA honours degree, an MBA, part of a DBA, which is a doctorate degree. And I did a postgraduate degree in business coaching and mentoring. So I tried to get the academic support, although I'd done a lot of the tough things in business by that time. I don't know whether I was trying to justify what I'd done or whatever, but it certainly helped me a lot look at things in a more process-driven manner. So I would say to anyone, you need a balance of practical and academic experience and knowledge. As current skills, also safety is a big aspect in transport businesses, health and safety requirements. Changing situations, COVID-19 is providing huge challenges to myself and my team in terms of keeping customers safe. On vehicles, social distancing on the bus isn't very easy, which drastically seems to be reducing the number of people we can carry, which is another challenge, and obviously taking care of drivers and taking care of all the staff in the depots and the bus stations. So health and safety is a key aspect. IT systems, knowledge of systems, how to use them, how to get critical information from them, also other aspects you need to think about. Collaborating with other stakeholders is another skill, which I think you need to do. Sometimes you need to bite your tongue and just compromise rather than always wanting your own way. So relationship management is a big thing with customers, with staff, with trade unions. But the big thing is, as a boss or anyone working in a business, you need to always be improving. So CPD, always developing, having a structured plan to the way I think I need to develop my skills is key. Very heavy on critical reflection. So if we get a situation and things aren't going right, I first look to myself to blame me rather than blame others. I made some spare time. I wrote a book which was published 11 years ago now, needed a second edition, which is a critical reflection on my life, saying, crikey, look at all these mistakes I made over the years. So many aspects. I don't really want to talk too long because I think people might want to ask questions. I would just say, whatever you do in life, choose a career that you enjoy. I like to think about things long term, hence 50 years in the same sector. But be very careful and think carefully about what you want to do, where you want to be living, who you want part of your life, and whether you can hack the good times and the bad times and keep coming through and have the strength of character to deliver your personal dream. Thank you.
Okay, thanks very much for that. I know I've got some questions. For anybody watching, if you could take questions, that'd be fantastic. Now, we have one that's very similar to one that I was going to ask, so I'm going to kind of paraphrase the two of them together.
Yep.
So obviously, this is for career advice for young people. We were talking about the importance of blending the practical with the academic. And for young people, that's maybe sometimes they don't have necessarily either of that. So how do you think they should try to show that to prospective employers when they're just coming out of school or university, actually? How do they demonstrate that to?
Okay, it's very difficult, but you can get all the psychometric testing, all the personality profile testing, everything you like. But when I interview people for jobs, then it's very much about how that person comes across in terms of just normal levels of humility, just normal levels of confidence, but not over the top, like people not totally focused on money, but perhaps focused on more than money, which hopefully will lead to money, if that makes sense. So I don't think I mentioned money one time about when I wanted to start my own business. It's always been about passion. It's always been about determination to be part of a team of people that achieve something worthwhile, because we spend a lot of time at work. Now, in terms of practical and academic studies, the thing is, when you're making decisions, whether they're big decisions or smaller decisions, it's always good to call on life history or experience, whether that's outside work or at work. So, and many times we'll look at a decision to make probably capital investment decisions in a business, and sometimes the numbers don't always make sense, but actually I know from certain things that's happened in the past that it will work, and sometimes we have outside investors in our business, so we need to convince other people at times that we need to invest millions of pounds in buses. You know, you get 5 buses for £1 million, so you want to go and buy 100, it's a lot of money. So we need to use that sort of stuff, whether it's a bank manager or someone else. I think the important thing is, with interviews, it's about honesty. It's about, people say to me, or I've said to me previously, what's my biggest strength? And I've always said, I never feel good enough to do what I'm doing. And I always challenge what I'm doing. So what that means is, I think I'm always trying to push myself to be a little bit better, whether it's at speaking to someone, whether it's understanding people's problems or whatever. So I think honesty is a big thing. And identifying weaknesses, and not just telling people how good you are at everything, but sometimes saying, you know, I'm not so good at that, but I really want to do this. So, and to me, that's the important sort of thing. With a young person coming from school or out of university, it's very difficult to gauge that attitude from someone, because you've almost got to create it from zero as an employer, if that makes sense. You know, you're sort of starting with a blank piece of canvas to a large degree. But I always try to create enthusiasm in the workplace, and straightforward talking and listening. You know, people can't understand me sometimes. The one business we have in Manchester, we've just bought from a global PLC last August, and the previous directors in that business never engaged with anyone. My way has always been, we can learn from everyone. So I want to know what people have got to say, whoever it is, someone cleaning a bus, putting fuel in it or whatever, drivers, because they're the ones on the front line that know all the issues. So I don't think I answered your question. Your question was, how do you get over to an employer the balance of practical and academic qualifications?
Yeah.
I think just be honest about where you feel you, and truthful about what you want to get out of life. And, you know, if you're going, the other thing I get is people come to work in the business for 3 years and they're just using it as a stepping stone, and that's fine. And I've had people tell me that at the beginning, and I've accepted it. So honesty is a big thing to me, and just real old-fashioned values, to be honest with you.
Okay. I hope that's answered the person who was asking for tips for interview skills as well. One of the questions is, I'm quite shy. How do I build my confidence so I can stand out in the job market?
Okay. This is a problem I had. I got pushed around at school and I got bullied and everything else, and I went into the real world. I was so nervous. I think what you have to think is, everyone, as long as we've got all the faculties that we should have, then why is someone better than you? Why do you think someone is going to know more than you? Why do you feel you're inadequate? It's a very, very difficult question. I get managers in our business ask me this question. But it's all about slowly building up your confidence, and over time, but never be afraid. I was that one at school or in college that asked that stupid question that got laughed at, but actually there's about another dozen people wanted to ask it, you found out later. Don't be afraid to do it, you know, because it's a journey, life's a journey, and you will learn as you go along. And, you know, one of the big, this is probably totally irrelevant, but years ago, I got my license to drive a bus and coach at 21. So I used to go driving coaches. So I used to have to stand at the front of the coach and talk to 50 strangers every time I picked a new group of people up. And that actually helped me a heck of a lot. So you have to just believe in yourself, and it's not a big problem. You know, everybody's normal somewhere inside. We're all the same, and don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. If somebody laughs at you, say what? Walk away. That's what I do, even today sometimes. It's not an easy one, is it? How do you build confidence?
Yeah.
It's all about self-belief, and if you've got to know someone's background, really.
I was told it's whatever's going in your head, there's a good chance that everybody you're talking to, it's going on in their head too.
Yes.
But yeah. Okay. Do you have a mentor? And if you do, did you find that helpful?
Do I have a mentor?
Yeah, no. Young people are often told to find a mentor.
I don't. I actually act as mentor for some graduates in the business. But I don't have one now. So I did have one in the late, I'm trying to think, late 1990s. Sounds like a long time ago now, because my business was going through a lot of bad times. I went to the local Chamber of Commerce. It was the Business Link then in Nottingham. So I had a business in Nottingham. And there was a man there who came into the business. Well, I asked him to come and do an analysis of the business, how to get it from a certain level to another level, because when you start a business and you're an owner manager, you absolutely do everything yourself. You just work every hour of every day. And I wanted to get from that step to run vehicles. There's coaches then, not buses, from Nottingham. I want to go to Derby, London, and London caused the problem because of 9/11. So, and this guy was a real good sounding board. Yes, he knew nothing about my sector, but he had experience of all round about marketing and how to create the right perception of your business and all aspects really, HR management and health and safety. But since that time, I haven't, no. But what I do have is I have a team of directors and senior managers, and we work very closely together. We meet every day. And we're all very, very honest and open about what we say, so we bounce ideas off each other, which is really like a 360-degree mentor approach, I guess.
Mm.
And I find that works for me and always has worked for me for a long time. But I don't have a mentor, but I would say it's a good thing. The other thing is, when you start your own business, you can be very single-minded and stubborn and not really want to listen to people, and you have to be, because it's a lonely place to be, especially when things aren't going so well, and there's a lot of people who don't really want to listen to you. So no, I haven't. I could have given you a short answer there, couldn't I?
No, that's a more interesting way to tell us, though. So might be a nice lead on this one. Do you have any regrets in your working life, and how did you overcome challenges?
Crikey, any regrets? Where do we start? Okay. I can sit here and I can say I have had so far a really, really fulfilled and wonderful life. And I'm not just talking financially, I'm talking the satisfaction I've had, the many tens of thousands of people that's worked in our businesses. And we have actually, me, perhaps, have actually made a lot of positive difference to a lot. So we've trained lots of people from being unemployed into being, I actually had people that's gone from being unemployed, trained them as a driver, built them up, been manager, and two have been directors of the business in the past. So that's quite satisfying. Regrets. In the late 90s, my business was doing really, really well. And like I said, I wanted to expand it. And one thing I did was expand. And I always built the business on a model that was split between, if you like, regular income, speculative income. So if you can think about it, so regular income is probably schoolwork, and it's probably and stuff that's contracted to you. So maybe running a bus service under contract to a local authority. So a third was always that. Yeah. A third was always predictable. So at that time, there was lots and lots of people hiring coaches to go to football games in Europe or to Wembley or wherever in the UK. So that was predictable. We knew it was getting that during certain months. And then the other 1/3 was really speculative stuff. So big events where you could make more profit from hiring a coach than on other times. So that's how the business was built, and it was stable for a long, long time. And then what I tried to do was move into the London market. And I did move into the London market, but I went in purely on speculative work, and I didn't have the bread and butter work, if you like.
Yeah.
And then what happened was the environmental shock of, not like I say, 9/11 took away all that income, and I'd got like nearly 100 staff to pay every week and 50 brand new coaches in London. But when I went into London, the plan was to always get a contract to run one of the London bus routes as well, to give me the regular work, So that's one big regret. There's been many. There's been regrets about employing certain people, doing certain jobs. There's been regrets about using certain banks for funding. So there's many. But overall, life's about good times and bad times. You can't have all good times. You've got to have some shocks, because the shocks actually test your strength of character, and they actually make you stronger, and they actually build more knowledge and ability than any. Listen, I've spent years at university. They build more knowledge about business than just doing one course after another. So I started to do a doctorate in business administration, which follows on from the MBA. And I spent 2 years studying part-time, spent a lot of time. And I got to the point where I thought, why am I doing this? And I didn't want to really learn about research inside out and write literature reviews, 40,000 words. And I was actually doing it probably just to get the title. So I then canned that, and I went and did a course on postgraduate degree on business mentoring and coaching, which was a lot more beneficial from a practical point of view. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it does indeed.
So yeah, many regrets. It's just, I've got a book there. There's loads of them in there.
I'll check it out. So what advice would you give to someone who doesn't know what to do after leaving school? You said you left quite young, so you might have been in the same position.
I just found something. When I was young, my father and his two brothers had a business operating lorries. So, and the business failed basically. But as a youngster, I used to go and learn how to fix lorries. So that's what I enjoyed. I went to grammar school. So when I went to grammar school, the expectation was A levels, university, but I didn't want to do that at that point. So, but I wanted to do something I thought I could be good at, because I've never had an acceptance we should accept being second best at anything. So I wanted to be a bus engineer, mechanic, fixing buses, and see a career moving to the top of the tree there to be engineering director one day. That was my dream at 16 years of age. So I chose something I enjoy, and that's the all important thing for me. Because maybe the job market in 1970 or the view of people taking jobs was different. It was a job for life then. Nowadays, it's not always the same, is it? Because people are more mobile and build up portfolios and move, throughout the career, don't they? Yeah. But it wasn't so then. And I wanted something I could do and would last what I could see forever. So people are always going to need public transport, aren't they? So it was about enjoyment and it was about stability, really, for me.
Okay. And you were talking earlier about the team that you had round about you. How would you recommend that a young person shows that ability to be a team player and contributor during interviews and application process? What would impress you as a potential employer?
It depends what job we're advertising for. If it's what shall we call a scheduler that's going to schedule bus routes and bus services, it's a more scientific kind of technical job. If it's someone that's going to learn how to be a staff manager and deal with grievances and disciplinary matters and employing people, it's not quite so scientific, but it needs to be someone that can listen. One thing that frustrates me with a lot of people nowadays is when you talk and they're interrupting you and telling you what they think before you've actually given them the message. So I don't like people that interrupt you and talk like that. I don't like that approach. But I think it depends what sort of role we're filling. But I always think you're looking for someone for a job. Can they do the job? Will they do the job? So that's a bit about attitude, isn't it? But the big thing for me is always fit. Will they fit into the business? Because culture is a big thing, Mm-hmm. And in transport's probably different to a lot of businesses. If you think about it, it's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So we don't really need people that's in operational jobs, shall we say. So managing people and resources that want to work 9 till 5 days a week, because it doesn't fit with our sort of sector. So it's about fit. A lot of ours is about fit, and it's about the ability to listen and understand what you're saying. And once again, it's looking for that seed where someone needs to achieve something, someone's ambitious.
Okay. Now, I'm not quite sure what the person who asked this question is meaning behind this, but I'll ask because we've got time for one more question. What are the top 3 jobs you've recruited?
What I've recruited for?
The top 3 jobs you've recruited for, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so 2004, the original business I started, we did an IPO, so we floated it on the AIM market, the stock market. So I needed to recruit a finance director because the London stock market, not the rules, but really the guidelines were you needed a qualified finance director full time. I didn't have one. So that's probably the most key job I recruited for. And I actually recruited the youngest ever finance director in an AIM. So the AIM I don't know if you know, stands for Alternative Investment Market. So there's the big stock market and the small one. So he was the youngest finance director ever. So that's probably the most key role, really. Another one is, there's been many, operations director for my current business, because just in the northern part of the business, we employ 931 people. So really I head up that, but I have an operations director who works with me. So recruiting him, he was the second biggest. And the third, I'm just trying to pick one out, many, head of engineering, lots and lots of roles. You know, we have a lot of very responsible roles where we're personally responsible for health and safety, you know, because you think about it, and we need to get things 100%, well, we need to aim for 100% perfection.
Okay. So we've answered most of the questions, hopefully. Is there one final bit of advice you would give to young people out there about to enter the job market, and what is a very complicated situation at the moment?
Well, we're all finding it complicated, if that's any help. We're finding it dreadfully complicated. Okay, you're starting out on a career. I think you need to know what interests you. What are you really interested in, and what can you see stimulating you long term? I'm a believer that you take on a career and you stick with that career, give or take a little bit, you know. So, because you need to understand your job. I think only aim to be number one at what you do. Whether you get there is another thing, but don't aim for second best in anything. Just aim to be excellent at what you do, because I think for good people, that for good employees, that's the thing that gives you the most satisfaction. Never focus on short-term salary or money, because if you are good at what you do, then that will follow. You've only just got to keep your eyes open, keep looking, and keep working hard. And if you're working for a good business, then they'll reward you. If you're not, then find one that will take care of you in the long run. If you want to start your own business at any point, just be prepared for all the highs and lows, because there's many of those. Make sure that you've got a strong enough strength of character to see you through the rough times. When you feel things are going really well, then don't get complacent, because that's the time when you get a good kick in, believe me. So you can never be complacent, you can never give in. And you know, always be positive. That's the big thing. That's the big thing I look for. Just going back to interviewing, I look for people that are optimistic. Not everybody that tells you about all the downsides of everything. They need to be managing health and safety. So that was a joke. So I think it's about, you know, enjoy it, enjoy your life. We get, you know, we're on this run now. It's a journey, and we need to enjoy it and do something that you enjoy.
Great. Well, that sounds like the perfect note to end on. Thank you very much for that, Bob. I hope that was of real inspiration and help to the young people listening. Everybody, thank you for joining us. We'd love your feedback, so we'll be sending out a short survey after this to get that down. And you can follow us on social media, on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn and Instagram, however you take your social media, to find out future career webinars. But this one, having been recorded, we will post it on our platform and on YouTube shortly, probably by tomorrow. So thank you once again, Bob. Really appreciate that. That was great. And thank you everyone else for listening in. Thank you. Bye.